This week we begin the new book of Deuteronomy. It's the fifth book in the five books of Moses, and it's a book that was written by Moses. It is his voice. It is his last will and testimony. He is about to die. The Jewish people are on the cusp of going into the land of Israel, and Moses is speaking to them. And he starts by recounting their history, where they came from, that they came from Sinai, that they came out of Egypt, that they are descended from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Moses is doing a lot of looking back. Look back to see where you've come from. Look back to the mistakes that you have made. There's a certain amount of rebuke that Moses gives the people in a loving way. He loves the people. He wants them to succeed in their living in the land of Israel, in this promised land. And so you have to learn from history. See what your ancestors did. There was idolatry. Don't worship idols. There was lack of faith. Don't have lack of faith. All these things that the Jewish people have exhibited over the course of their history, something that Moses wants to bring to the forefront so that this second generation, not the generation that came out of Egypt, but the generations, the next generation that's going into the land, that they should be fortified. They should have a guidebook, the Torah, for how to live and how to be good and how to be one with themselves and with God. So Moses is speaking all these words to the people. And the people should, as we today, should look back, learn from the past, know that we're a nation that's persecuted, know that as a nation there's always going to be anti-Semitism, but also know that God is with us and that God loves us and that God will help us and that we have our part to do to bring about that vision. This week's Shabbos is known as Shabbos Chazon, a Sabbath of vision. Is the one right before Tisha B'Av. The 9th day of the month of Av is next Tuesday. It's the day where the temples in Jerusalem were destroyed. It's the day when the scouts, the spies came back from the land which they scouted out for the people in the desert, and they came back and they gave a report that made the people hysterical, and they were crying. They didn't have faith that they could take over the land. They started to cry, and God says that crying will bring about a lot of other crying in the future, and we still remember that time in order to learn from that, in order to make it different in the future. So we bring the past into our present to try to change who we are, to change the reality of the world, to do a rectification of the world on an individual level, on a national level, on a global level, so that the future will be bright, the future will be peaceful, the future will know that there's only one God. And that's the trajectory that we should bear in mind, where as we look back to inform our present, to build the future. So the 9th of Av, which is next Tuesday, is Jewish history, a time of calamity and a kind of mourning. Please God, can it not be that? Can it be a day of celebration where we will have done the work and we will have a new reality?